What's up, guys? Isu here, and today I will give you tips on how to improve at Survivor in Dead by Daylight. First, we'll go over the gist of how the game works. DBD is an asymmetrical horror game where 4 survivors go against 1 killer. In the trial, you have to complete 5 generators and open the exit gates to escape. Killers can counteract this by kicking generators, downing survivors, and hooking them. If a survivor gets hooked 3 times or gets hooked with the Roman numeral 2 by their name, then they die. So how do you improve a survivor where going against killer can sometimes feel hopeless? The points I want to bring up are understanding the HUD, decision making, looping, and learning perks. I do believe that the HUD is one of the most valuable pieces of information in the game, if not in comms with your team. Real quick, I'll go over everything in the HUD. The HUD will display 4 survivors, which represents their health states. The regular PNG is healthy, the reddish one with slashes through it is injured, and the one with the grounded survivor means they're in the dying state. The little circle right here basically tells the actions of survivors, whether they are doing a generator, opening a chest, cleansing a totem, blessing a totem, healing survivors, recovering from the dying state, opening a door, or interacting with the killer's power. These legs around this survivor are the obsession legs, and when they move like this, that means the survivor who is obsession is in chase with the killer. If you see many legs on other survivors moving, this also means that they are in chase. So in a scenario where one teammate is hooked, another teammate is being chased, and you and the last teammate are doing separate generators, you should make a decision based off the HUD on what to do. If your teammate is basically committing to that generator, you should take the initiative to unhook the other teammate. But if the teammate who is doing the generator's HUD becomes empty and they aren't in chase, then you can take that as them going for the unhook. You do have to remember, completing all 5 generators to escape is the objective, and it becomes exponentially harder with less teammates alive, especially because they can't work on gens while others are being chased. Adding on to the HUD, on the other side is the status effects. The yellow ones are positive effects and the red ones are negative effects. This shoe with wings is haste and it gives you speed. Thankfully, in a recent update, you see how much haste you have, so the percentage will be displayed to you. This is the blessed status effect, which means you are affected by a boon. This is the endurance status effect. It allows you to take a hit when injured. Endurance is usually under a timer, so you want to be sure to get hit or get to safety before it ends. The most common way of having endurance is after getting unhooked, in which you have endurance for 10 seconds. Now, getting hit while having endurance gives you a negative status effect called deep wound. When in this state, you have to mend to get back to the injured state, and if you don't, this bar will go down, and when it's empty, you will go into the dying state. This is the blindness status effect that takes away your ability to see aura. This is important to note because if a person is hooked and you are blind, you won't be able to see them on the hook. So you need to remember where they got hooked initially to save them. This is the exhausted status effect. Basically, it won't let you activate any exhaustion perks such as sprint burst, lithe, dead hard, smash hit, as well as iron will won't be able to be used while exhausted. Hemorrhage makes you produce more pools of blood for killers to track, but the bigger effect is that you lose healing progress if you don't finish the heal. It ticks down 7% per second. Hindered decreases your movement speed, and like haste, it states the percentage you are affected by in the HUD. Killers like Clown and Freddy have powers that give you 15% hindered, which takes away your ability to fast vault. Mangled basically makes you heal 20% slower and you lose the status effect when healed, but it also goes away after 90 seconds on average. Mangled and hemorrhage are most commonly seen from the killer perk Sloppy Butcher. Oblivious is an important status effect to know since you are unable to hear the killer's tear radius or their heartbeat. But if the killer has a lullaby like Huntress, you will still be able to hear it and see it on the heartbeat visual. Cursed is the status effect you get when affected by a hex, which are powerful perks used by the killer. They are bound to hex totems which you can cleanse to disable their effects. Exposed is also another very important status effect in which it can insta-down you if you're healthy. But endurance is able to tank the hit without you going down, even if you're healthy. Now that I'm done talking about the HUD, I will move on to looping. Looping is a very integral part of the game and it allows you to be chased longer. So what is looping? It's running around a tile a couple of times before dropping a pallet or vault. This helps preserve resources for you and your teammates since you are buying more time looping the same pallet instead of instantly dropping each one. One of the main things with learning how to loop is spacing. Spacing is gauging the distance between you and the killer in which you know the killer can land a hit. It helps you judge how many times you can loop around things until you have to throw that pallet or take a vault. Pathing plays a very big part in many scenarios when it comes to looping. What is pathing? It is quite literally the path you take to wherever you're trying to go. How is that important? Well, in looping on most maps, there are many options to path when being chased. To the pallet, the vault, a whole new tile. Depending on what you choose and when you choose it, you can optimally path in that direction instead of spontaneously changing directions and losing distance. What also comes into play when pathing is looping while not interrupting teammates who are doing generators, so be sure to listen out while in chase. Positioning is another great asset when looping. It's basically putting yourself in a favorable area before getting in chase. Like when I know the killer is on their way to me and I know my generator won't be done by the time they get to me, I will go to the nearest tile or filler and position myself in a way I can see them coming, which is also known as check spotting. Last but not least for looping is camera control. Camera control is the most important thing when looping. Without it, you wouldn't really be able to space, path, or position yourself correctly. All camera control is moving your camera around in chase without messing up your pathing. This helps by giving information such as looking behind you, looking around for loops while you're in chase, etc. It packages looping together. Now, the only thing I can really say about camera control is that it's something you have to practice yourself and get used to that feeling. When I was a controller gamer, I practiced my camera control when doing generators and going from generator to generator. Just give it some time and you will be good at it. The final tip I'd give for improving at DBD is learning perks. Perks are the extra layer of DBD that have game-changing effects on both survivor and killer. And being able to identify perks can help a lot when making decisions in any match. There are plenty of ways to identify perks. Two very common places they can show up are in the HUD. When you get affected by a killer's perk for the first time, sometimes the name can pop up in the top right where the scoring event shows. Another place that can pop up are at the bottom left of your own perks, where they show the current perks you are affected by. You can identify perks outside of the HUD as well. If gens are being blocked, there are only 5 killer perks that do so: Dead Man's Switch, Deadlock, Thrilling Tremors, Grim Embrace, and Merciless Storm. Say you're doing a generator while Survivor is getting picked up. You see other gens get covered, but yours. You would know that they have Thrilling Tremors because your gen stayed unblocked and the condition for the perk to activate was picking a Survivor up. Now you would know that your gen will be highlighted differently and they might come to you after hooking the Survivor. An example of identifying a perk and acting on it is when a killer vaults after you and then the vault gets blocked. This means the killer has bamboozled and that vault will be blocked for 16 seconds. You will have to make a decision on whether you want to throw the nearby pallet in the tile, leave the general area, or loop until the vault becomes unblocked. These decisions vary on every map, tile, your health state, etc., but it's up to you to make that choice. And those are my tips on how to improve at Survivor on Dead by Daylight. This was more of a general video and I didn't go too in-depth on the explanations or scenarios. If you like the content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Esu, and I will see you in the next one.